Hey guys, what is up, YouTube? It's Card5000 here, and where we left off was Pinscher. Came from the name Pinchers, with like the pincher bugs with pinchers on its butt. Pinscher seems to be rivals with Heracross. They do kind of look alike, if you think about it. Before the release of Gold and Silver, it is speculated Heracross would have been evolution or pre-evolution. It is the only non-fighting type to know Vital Throw. Even though it's bug type, he doesn't know any moves by leveling up until Generation 4. In second and third generations, it could only learn Fury Cutter, the only bug type move it could learn. Moving on to Tauros. And guess what's after this? Magikarp! I'm not moving on there right now. It was originally named after the astrological symbol Taurus. The bull. It's the only non-Generation 5 Pokemon that introduced that could learn Work Up by leveling up. Now on to the Magikarp. Believe it or not, I actually found a lot. They are commonly known as the weakest Pokemon, but their speed stat can actually tie a Dragonite. Yes, a Dragonite. Tie it. But based on that stat, Sunkern would be the weakest. Now the one that involved in Sunflora, yeah. It is terrible. And I think they're only commonly known as the weakest Pokemon in the game because they learn only Splash, Tackle, Flail, and Bounce. Not a very civilized moveset. And also to support the weak Pokemon, I wouldn't even put it on the top 10 list with the weakest stats, because I found weaker ones. It is one of few water Pokemon that cannot learn Surf, however. The only Pokemon that can Old Rod can catch in Red and Blue. In Pokemon Platinum, Magikarp is the lowest, also the highest level non-glitch Pokemon available at capture. Levels 1 and 100, even beating out the level 80 Arceus. It is only available in a pond with the resort area with the Super Rod, where Magikarp can be caught and ranged and level anywhere from level 1 to 100. Its Japanese name is Koi King, which means King of Koi. However, Magikarp is one of the weakest Pokemon. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon explores the darkness, time, and sky. They are the only games where Magikarp can be taught a TM move, like a Wide Slash. Magikarp is one of the only Pokemon that doesn't learn moves better than its evolution. Even if a low-level Pokemon were to beat a very high-level Magikarp, they would barely get any experience points from defeating it, showing how bad Magikarp stats really are. They are one of 18 Pokemon that cannot learn any TMs. I didn't write down what Pokemon because I didn't have enough time. Let's see. Ditto, Dynamo. Well, Maractus can't learn any HMs. Oh well. Gyarados. This ought to be a little better. Even though it does have a Dragon-type appearance. It is not a Dragon-type. Yet it learns Dragon-type moves like Dragon Rage and Breath. And is used by many Dragon-types. Trainers, such as Lance and Claire. Also, Dragon Breath never existed in Generation 1, only Dragon Rage. I think I also covered this in Episode 1 on one of Charizard's facts. Even though it's Heart Flying type, it can only know Bounce. The one Flying type move it can learn. Even though it's seen flying in the anime, it cannot learn Fly. And this is only because its pre-evolution Magikarp can learn it in Generation 4 only. Gyarados may be based on the mythological creature, the Krakon, since its original name was going to be Skullkrakon. But that was too many letters. That was 11 letters. S-K-U-L-L, that's 5. C-R-A-K-O-N. Just off your two hands. Generation 2 and 4. Gyarados is the only 100% certain shiny encounter and one of the only two shiny Pokemon to be interrogated into a game's plot. Second, Celebi, Mystery Dungeon, explores time and explorers of darkness. Gyarados is believed being evolved from Magikarp, which is useless and weak, referring to a common belief in Asian creatures that carp will transform into dragon after it passes through hard ordeals. Can't read today. Lapras. Oh yeah. It is one of the 7 Generation 1 non-legendary Pokemon to not have a legendary evolutionary form. Lapras' name was originally going to be Ness. This was changed before the Red and Blue game's release. It is the only Pokemon who is mentioned in the Dex to have been hunted by humans. It has the highest base stat total of any unevolved tribute at 535. Yeah, it's mentioned in Blue Pokédex. I just remembered. Also, Ditto cannot run ATMs. Tri is almost exactly Poliwags. It makes an appearance in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Melee. In Generation 4, possible, by glitch, for Ditto to learn copied moves permanently by transforming into a Pokemon which knows Rage. If Ditto battles a Ditto, they will both use Transform until one of them runs out of power points and uses Struggle, which will probably do more recoil damage. Ditto can be only paralyzed when used in the Transform mode. Its dictionary definition is actually to duplicate. Ditto is sometimes thought to be a failed attempt at cloning Mew. This is because they're both genderless, weigh 8.8 pounds, and have similar base stats. They're the only Pokemon to have the ability to use the move Transform, and have their same normal and shiny colors. In Pokemon Red, Ditto is actually commonly found in the lab that Mewtwo experimentation is being done. My friend spelled that really weird. Eevee. Yes, it's the only Pokemon to have so many evolutions. And I found a holy crap load about Eevee. I don't know if I can fit this in 3 minutes. So far, Eevee is one of 10 Pokemon to have more than one evolution. One of 2 have to have 3 or more. So far, it is the only Pokemon that has 4 or more. Eevee is a common gift Pokemon. Evolutions is a common fan term for Eevee's evolutions. Everybody's heard that. Eevee was the first Pokemon that had a different evolution depending on the time of day. Its name is a palindrome. There are only 3 others, but I'm going to leave those as a surprise until the episode where I discuss them. Let's see if you can figure them out. Eevee and Gloom are the only 2 Pokemon that can evolve into several other Pokemon using multiple element stones. In Pokemon Special Manga, Red owned an Eevee that had undergone genetic mutation due to Team Rocket's experiments. It can evolve and de-evolve again, and evolve again. Know that when it went to Jolteon to Flareon to Vaporeon, then back to Eevee. This power was available through an ear device that causes harm to Eevee as it evolved or de-evolved. Eventually, it trusted Red enough to evolve into an Espeon, losing the ability to de-evolve. Eevee is given to the player in most of the Pokemon games. Eevee has been featured as a starter Pokemon in 3 games. First was Yellow, where the player's rival received an Eevee as his starter. The second was in Pokemon XD, Gale of Darkness. The player begins the game with an Eevee which he received at some point prior to the events of the game. The specifics of how the player's character has owned the Eevee and the circumstances under which he received it are not revealed. The third is in Pokemon Conquest, where the 2 players receive an Eevee as his or her starter. Also in Pokemon Colosseum, the player begins with 2 starters, which are already evolved Eevees, Espeon and Umbreon. Eevee's evolved states, for example, Espeon and Umbreon can defeat one another. Umbreon can defeat Espeon. Since Espeon is a Psychic type, it won't hurt Umbreon if it uses a Psychic type. All the evolutions, Umbreon and Jolteon are the only ones that aren't at a type disadvantage to one another. Espeon's weak against Umbreon. Flareon's weak against Vaporeon. Vaporeon is weak against Jolteon and Leafeon. Leafeon is weak against Glaceon and Flareon. Glaceon's weak against Flareon. And Glaceon's type is weak against Vaporeon and Jolteon, and weak against Leafeon. Espeon is the only evolution that does not have a type advantage against the others. Umbreon is good against Espeon. Flareon is good against Glaceon and Leafeon. Vaporeon is good against Flareon. Jolteon is good against Vaporeon. Leafeon is good against Vaporeon. And Glaceon is good against Leafeon. So, I did not say Espeon was good against anybody. I did also not say that anything was good against Umbreon or Jolteon or Eevee. Eevee and the Evolutions currently hold the world Pokemon record for the most amount of types in one evolutionary line with 7. Eevee's form is based on a Fennec Fox. So is the new Pokemon X and Y Fire Starter, Fennekin, I think. All the evolutions have a base stat of 130 and another of 60. And Eevee will be bonded to a player in Pokemon Conquest. Eevee is the Pokemon with the most evolutions for using Elemental Stones so far. In the evolution chain, all Pokemon after Eevee have an Eon at the end of their names. He is a possible choice for the hero in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red, Mystery Dungeon Blue, and Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky. So, yeah. Red and Blue starters, Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle, Yellow, Pikachu, and Eevee. And that will prove my point. In X and Y, we know Chespin, Froakie, and Fennekin. Vaporeon is the first evolution to be discussed in the next episode.